Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the Mic Check Podcast. This is T Word, and today we're going to talk about the NFC North team needs heading into the draft. We're just going to talk about their primary needs, not an in-depth look at what each team is going to be looking for, just kind of potentially what they'll draft in the first round. So, this division includes the Chicago Bears, the Detroit Lions, the Green Bay Packers, and the Minnesota Vikings, and we're going to talk about the team needs for each one. Before we get into the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll appreciate your feedback. Thank you. All right, so let's go ahead with the first team. We got the Chicago Bears, and I got my little board here with everything on it. I've got offensive tackle, edge rusher, and interior defensive lineman. So the Bears are going to be rebuilding the trenches in order to make their team better. And I think that that's a good place to start. I think there'll be some great potential for guys that they can pick up in the first round. I tend to think offensive tackle and edge are really good picks for the first round. Interior defensive lineman might be something they want to hold off until the second round, unless there's just a standout guy they feel like they can't live without. And maybe you can move down and get a guy like that. If you're drafting at the top, you don't want to pick up an interior defensive lineman unless you're looking at like Warren Sapp or somebody like that. Next up, you got the Detroit Lions. They're going to be looking at edge rusher as well as interior defensive lineman. And the Lions are right in the middle of the first round. So in my opinion, I think they probably should look for edge. And if edge isn't there, this is another situation where I think you move down the draft later in the round and then you get a 2-for-1. You double up. You get some extra picks down the line, or you take more shots. The draft is kind of like I can't really think of a great analogy at the moment, but let's just say the more picks you have in the draft, especially in the first 4 rounds, the better potential you have of getting more good players on rookie deals. And I think that it's always a good idea to move down. I wish the Saints would move down more often because I feel like they could really maximize their potential by doing so. They're one of those teams that typically move up. All right, next up, Green Bay Packers. They're looking at wide receiver, tight end, edge rusher, and we don't know what's going to happen with Aaron Rodgers, and they've got a backup quarterback that they feel like could probably step in, but maybe quarterback if they're going to move on from A-Rod. We'll see what happens with that. They did lose Alan Lazard, so they're going to need some pass catchers, and that's why you throw tight end in there as well. As I mentioned in the previous video, edge rusher is a premium position. So if you can get one in the first round that's going to be like kind of game changing, you go with that. You know what I mean? So it will be good for the Packers to do so. Minnesota Vikings need a cornerback and wide receiver. They did lose Adam Thielen, and they also lost Patrick Peterson. Now, these are veteran players that aren't necessarily statistically going to be hard to replace, but that leadership, you've got to get. If you can't get the leadership, you got to get the stats. You got to get some dudes that are going to be so good you don't notice that they're not leaders. So that's kind of what I think is going to happen here, where they're going to get a wide receiver and cornerback, and they've got a pretty decent first-round pick. So I expect them to do well for themselves at one of the 2 positions. Or again, I'm big on move down. This is a theme that you're probably going to hear on a regular basis from me. Trade down, get extra picks, do something else with your time, okay? So that's going to be my NFC North draft needs summary. So let's just do a quick little recap. Chicago's going to need a tackle, edge defender, and interior defensive lineman. Detroit's going to need edge, interior defensive line. Green Bay's going to need wide receiver, tight end, and edge rusher. And Minnesota's going to need cornerback and wide receiver. So we'd love to get your thoughts. Tell me what you think about this upcoming draft and what these team needs are. Don't forget to keep track of this series. We've got 6 more videos to go. We're going to do each division one by one, team by team, leading up to the draft before we get into some draft predictions and some mocks, I guess you could say. We're going to mock the first round. That's it. I'm not a draft nigga. I don't go deep. So hopefully you guys will stick with me throughout this series and you'll understand. That boy knows some football, all right? So this has been T-Word for the Mic Check Podcast. Until the next time I'm out. Peace.